Hey guys, I was at the casino yesterday and I had a discussion with someone about my book. Then we got into some other topics and I said a few things that maybe didn't come out right, maybe didn't sound right, maybe concerned some people. Um, I just wanted to clear up some of the things I said. So, one of the things I said at first, I was like, well, it's God's universe. And then I was like, well, actually, and then I was like, well, I talk about that in the book too. And what I was meaning by that was, the thing that people want the most um, is love. And so love is an economic market. And I talk about that in my book. And I talk about how I expect Jesus to return to earth to offer his products in that market. But just because he is offering his products doesn't mean that he has a monopoly on the market, because other beings are capable of offering love as well. So we'll have a competitive market, but he's probably going to get a good chunk of the frickin' market, um, which is fine. It's okay if one person has a dominant position in a market as long as the threat of competition exists. And sorry about that, I just dropped that. In my book, well, I suggest that we fund a security force that makes sure that no one is abusing their power, their economic power, because the intention is that a lot of people are contributing to this security force, and so that no one will be able to outgun that security force through a superior economic might. And there's a lot of things that are going to help prevent anyone from having that power. Consumers will start boycotting if producers are being abusive. And so the market for love, once you're a consumer of a particular provider, it's tough to get away from that. And it's important that there are other options in the marketplace so that people who are on land that's owned by someone who's abusive, those people have a chance to leave that land. And the more economic power you have, well, probably the more land you'll control. But there's going to be a lot of different landowners. We're starting with a lot of landowners, so that's one thing. So, yes, love is a market, but it's not the only market. There are a lot of other demands that people have for food, for clothing, for housing, for entertainment, for electronics, for all the products we use, for automobiles, computers, furniture, medicine, education, a lot of different markets, transportation, security, justice, basically whatever people want, and people want love, there is a market for it. So there's a market for love. There's also a market for sex. These are two very different markets, but they're both real demands that do exist in our society, whether we want them to or not. So I propose free markets and free competition in those markets. I am not aware of anyone else who has identified love as an economic market, but I outline that in my book. So I will link I'll link my book where you can buy it, and I'll also link my website, which is humandiscourse.com, where you can read a few different things, which I should mention before I go. You can read a book, first of all, the first page, I've got a bunch of channels, different commentators who I feel like offer some value, and I just added Michael Savage, who is a former conservative radio talk show host who I listened to years and years ago, but who I've continued to occasionally check in with over the years, and who I think has a lot of knowledge and represents a large part of America that I think it's important to keep up to date with. And so I've put him on there, and I'm actually hoping to reach out to him shortly. I got a huge list of things to do. I've got probably 30 things on my list right now, probably at least 30 or 40 things that I need to get done, and I'm waiting for an opportunity to get them done. I'm just doing one thing at a time, and life's really busy, even though work's not super busy right now, although I have some work. I stayed all busy most of the day today doing work. But my outside, I only have as many hours as I have, and so, but that is one of the things that I intend to do, is reach out to him, because I'd love to have a conversation with him. And I think he brings up a lot of good points that a lot of libertarians don't give a good look to, and I think sometimes people don't have a great answer. I think there are demands such as security that not everyone in this world can afford for themselves. Not everyone can hire an army to protect them. And I believe a charitably funded societal-wide defense force is the way to go on that, and I would like to discuss that with him in light of what's happening economically and his knowledge. And I believe he's a kind man. I believe he has compassion in his heart. I believe he's a man who wants peace in this world. I believe he's a good man. And I'd love to have a conversation with him. So that's definitely on my list of priorities. So that's the first page, the commentators. The next page, I've got two discussions up there. One is with Julian Mann. He was a friend of mine in a poetry group that I used to be in on Facebook. I've since been removed from Facebook. But he's a very enlightened soul. He's a very spiritual person, and he brings a lot of knowledge to the table about spiritual topics. And we had an extensive conversation, and so I posted that there. That is discussion 1. Discussion two is a more recent discussion with someone who's a leftist who I felt like represented a lot of the ideas of Karl Marx quite well. Um, but now he told me later he hadn't studied Marx, so I think he's probably heard those arguments from other people who have. But um, he's someone who seems very concerned about things in this world, and we had an extensive conversation. So that's another conversation I've posted on there for you to read and judge for yourself. I added some later commentary that I had, and I let him know about my posting that, so that's there. And then I think there's a contact me feature, which is up there. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me that way. I also have an email address that is currently posted on my website. So one of the first commentator is myself. I link this YouTube channel. And I also give you my email address. Now, I might later not want to have that just handed out, and so I'm not going to put it on this video because I want to keep this video up, but that resource is there right now too if you want to get in touch with me. If you're anyone with any kind of following and you're interested in discussing ideas, I'd love to have a conversation with you, because I've been working for the last 4 years on a book, and I feel like I have some ideas that can help this society. So, you guys have a good evening.